Good morning, everyone. This is Vishwas. So today we are going to discuss about chapter number one, Science of Class 7th. Right? We have just made one single lecture. This is lecture number two, basically. So in this lecture, we are going to start with our activity 1.1. So in this activity, what we are going to do, take two potted plants of the same kind, keep one in dark for 72 hours and the other one in sunlight. So what will happen? What will you observe? One plant you have to keep in dark, one plant you have to keep in sunlight for 72 hours. Perform iodine test with the leaves of both the plants as you did it in class 6. In class 6, you are having the same chapter related to this one. So what you have done, you might have done a iodine test with the plants. One which is kept in case of sunlight that will show some chlorophyll, but while the other which is kept away from sunlight in dark that is not having chlorophyll. Right. So record your result. Now you will leave the pond which was earlier kept in the dark in the sunlight for 3 to 4 days. Perform the iodine test again on the leaves. Record the observations. The leaves will other than green also have chlorophyll. The large amount of red, brown, and other pigments mask the green color. Photosynthesis takes place in these leaves also. Means photosynthesis is taking place in both the leaves, but what happens? There is less amount of chlorophyll, the plant which is present in dark, and there will be more amount of chlorophyll with the plant which is present in case of sunlight. But only the sunlight one plant can able to perform photosynthesis, and not the other one because of the presence of chlorophyll in it, and the sunlight is very much required in order to make food, right? In this process, the sunlight plays a very crucial role, very important role. So, sunlight is a major factor for carrying out photosynthesis. You often see slimy green patches in ponds or in other stagnant water bodies. These are generally formed by the growth of organisms called algae. जिसे हम हिंदी में काई भी बोलते हैं. So, what happens in this case is there are certain green color organisms which develop on the water surface or the stagnant water. Can you discuss why algae are green in color? They are of different colors basically, not only green. The algae can be blue green also. The algae can have other colors also, black also. They contain chlorophyll which gives them green color, but that specific algae has a large amount of chlorophyll present in this, so that's why they are green in color. Algae can also prepare their own food by photosynthesis, so that algae can also prepare their own food because of the presence of chlorophyll. Synthesis of plant food other than carbohydrates. You must have just learned that plants synthesize carbohydrates through the process of photosynthesis. The carbohydrates are made up of carbon and hydrogen and oxygen. So carbohydrates are basically made up of three things: carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. These are used to synthesize other components of food. अब ये क्या करते हैं? ये जो कार्बन, हाइड्रोजन, ऑक्सीजन जो कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स बना रहे हैं, दैट इज ऑल्सो यूज टू सिंथेसाइज अदर कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ फूड. मतलब खाना सिंथेसाइज करने के भी काम आते हैं, बनाने के भी काम आते हैं. बट प्रोटीन्स आर नाइट्रोजीनियस सब्सटेंसेस व्हिच कंटेन नाइट्रोजन. प्रोटीन्स क्या हैं? दीज आर बेसिकली द नाइट्रोजीनियस सब्सटेंसेस. अब नाइट्रोजीनियस क्यों? बिकॉज इसमें नाइट्रोजन सबसे ज्यादा प्रेजेंट होते हैं. फ्रॉम वेयर डू द प्लांट्स ऑब्टेन दिस नाइट्रोजन? तो अब ये नाइट्रोजन आई कहाँ से? नाइट्रोजन इज बेसिकली present in the abundance in gaseous form in the air. However, plants cannot absorb nitrogen, so they take nitrogen from the soil. So, soil has certain bacteria that convert gaseous nitrogen into usable form and release it into the soil. These soluble forms are absorbed by the plants along with water. Also, you might have seen farmers adding fertilizers rich in nitrogen to the soil. So, what happens is nitrogenous fertilizers, we call it. Farmers used to add nitrogenous fertilizers to the soil in order to make that soil rich in nitrogen, because nitrogen has been absorbed and utilized by the plants to fulfill the requirements of day to day life activities. So plants can then synthesize component of food other than carbohydrates such as proteins and fats. So due to this reason, plants can synthesize other components also. Other modes of nutrition in plants. There are some plants which do not have chlorophyll. कई plants ऐसे भी होते हैं जो अपना खाना खुद नहीं बनाते. That means they do not have chlorophyll. They cannot synthesize their own food. How did they survive then? And from where do they derive nutrition? Like humans and plants, such plants depends upon food produced by the other plants. They use the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Heterotrophic mode of nutrition means वो अपना खाना खुद नहीं बनाते, वो दूसरे ऑर्गेनिजम्स पे डिपेंड होते हैं फॉर देयर फूड. डू you see yellow tubular structures ringing around the stem and branches of a tree? This is a plant called Cascata emerbil. We call it Cascata. We also call it by the name emerbil. It does not have chlorophyll. It takes ready-made food from the plant, right? So chlorophyll नहीं होता, वो ready-made food लेता है plant से. You might able to see this tree. In this tree, there is this branches kind of thing. These are basically yellow structures that surrounded the tree, and this is basically known as a myrtle or cascata. This depends upon the other plant, and the other plant at that time is known as host plant for cascata. The apex of the leaves forms a lid which can open and close the mouth of the pitcher. Inside the pitcher, this is not pitcher, this is pitcher. There are hairs which are directed downwards when an insect lands in the pitcher. When an insect lands in the pitcher, the lid closes and trapped insects get entangled into the hair. The insect is digested by the digestive juices secreted by the pitcher. Such insect-eating plants are also known as insectivorous plants. So we have already talked about this Cascata. Now there is one more kind of plant that is known as insectivorous plant that basically depends upon the insects. They used to eat insects. How they used to eat insects? They form a flower-like structure, and that flower, it's not a flower basically. It's a kind of mouth or opening to trap the insects, right? So that particular insect or bee, suppose if flews and sits on that particular surface, that apex of the leaves, they just shut their mouth, and what happens? That insect get trapped inside it, and due to the digestive juices present in their body, they used to digest that insect and obtain their food. Is it possible that such plants do not get all the required nutrients from the soil in which they grow? Just think it, both is confused now. If pitcher plant is green and carries out photosynthesis, then why does it eat insects? Just go to this point. I want you to think about this answer and just comment that answer in the comment section below. That's a very important thing, and let's see how many of you can answer to this. Saprophyte. You might have seen packets of mushrooms sold in the vegetable market. Have you seen that mushrooms, white color mushrooms? That's fluffy umbrella-like structures growing on rotting wood during the rainy season. It's very yummy when you eat it. Na? But what are that mushrooms in scientific terms? Boju wants to know how these organisms acquire nutrients. They do not have mouths like animals do. They are not green plants as they lack chlorophyll and cannot make their own food by photosynthesis. So, in order to see this or observe this, let's carry out an activity. Take a piece of bread and moisten it with water. Leave it for 2 3 days or until fluffy patches appear on them. These patches may be white, green, brown, or of any other color also. Observe the patches under a microscope and a magnifying glass. What will you observe? You will observe, write down the observations in the notebook. Most probably you will see cotton like threads spread on the pieces of bread, like you can able to see in this figure. That's basically we call it a fungi, right? These organisms are called fungi. They have different mode of of nutrition. They secrete digestive juices on the bed and decaying matter and convert it into a solution. Then they absorb the nutrients from it. तो जो solution बना digestive juices के साथ mix हो करके then nutrients को उसमें से absorb किया हुआ. This mode of nutrition in which organism take up the nutrients in solution form and dead and decaying matter from dead and decaying matter is called saprophytic nutrition. Basically, what is saprophytic nutrition in which organism take the nutrition from dead and decaying parts of the plants or animals. Fungi also grow on pickles, leather, clothes, and other articles. Even you might be shocked, fungi grows on our body too. I don't want to say how it grows. Okay, I will let you know how it grows. When you will not take baths for months or even for a few weeks, then there will be kind of itching and some fungi kind of appearance on your hidden parts of the body, or you can call it under armpits and other body parts. It can be observed. So do not try to do this because it's quite painful. Now Boju says once his grandfather told him that his wheat fields were spoiled by a fungus. He wants to know if fungi cause disease also. So he told him that many fungi like yeast mushrooms are useful, but some other fungi can cause disease in plants, animals, and human beings also. So some fungi are also used in medicines industry. So even yeast you might have heard of yeast, baking powder. You might have eaten cakes and pastries and all. So you are just taking microorganisms in your body. Sure. Yes, you are taking, inhaling you are just engulfing all those microbes into your body. That means you are non-vegetarian from today onwards. During the rainy season, they spoil many things. Ask your parents about the menace of fungi in your house. The fungal pores are generally present in the air when they land on wet and warm things. They germinate and grow. Now you can figure out how can you protect one thing from getting spoiled. Some things live together. Some organisms live together and share shelter and nutrients. This is called symbiotic relationship. What do you mean by symbiotic relationship is the mutual dependent relationship of two organisms. That means one organism is dependent upon the other organism, and the other organism is dependent upon the first one organism. That means they both are forming a kind of symbiotic relationship. फर्स्ट सेकंड के ऊपर डिपेंडेंट होता है और सेकंड वाला ऑर्गेनिज्म फर्स्ट के ऊपर डिपेंडेंसी रखता है. For example, certain fungi live in the roots of the trees. The tree provides nutrients to the fungus and in return receives help from it to take up water and nutrients from the soil. This association is very important for the tree. This you will study in class 9 in diversity chapter. In organisms called lichens, a chlorophyll containing partner, which is an algae and a fungus, live together. So this is most important. Algae or fungus lives together in lichens. So the fungus provides shelter and water and minerals to the algae, and in return, what algae provides is it prepares food by photosynthesis for the plant. Now, how nutrients are replenished in the soil? Have you seen farmers spreading manure and fertilizers in the field or gardeners using them in lawns and in pots? You learn that plants absorb mineral nutrients from the soil, so their amount in the soil keep on declining. Fertilizers and manures contain plant nutrients such as nitrogen, potassium, etc. These nutrients are to be added from time to time to enrich the or in order to maintain the fertility of the soil. So basically, we have to use fertilizers in order to maintain the fertility of the soil in order to have a better crop and good crop. That's we call it nowadays as hybrid. Also, hybrid means some other things also, like the hybrid crop can be obtained from two different kind of crops that can show some different features. Usually, crops require a lot of nitrogen to make proteins. After the harvest, the soil becomes deficient in Nitrogen. Though nitrogen gas is available in plenty of amount in the air, so plants cannot use it in the same manner. So how plants uses it? Basically, there is a rhizobium bacteria which is present in the root nodules, and that rhizobium bacteria takes the atmospheric nitrogen, converts it into the soluble form, and that soluble form is absorbed by the roots nodules, and then that root nodule transferred to the plant. So it lives in the roots of the gram, peas, mung, beans, and other leguminous plants and provides them nitrogen. Most of the pulses are obtained by the same process. So they are also possessing a symbiotic relationship between them. This association is of great importance for the farmers. They do not need to add nitrogen fertilizer to the soil in which leguminous plants are grown. In case of leguminous plants, already the rhizobium is present, so there is no need to add the nitrogenous fertilizers. In this chapter, you have learned that most of the plants are autotrophs and only a few plants adopt other modes of nutrition like parasitic and saprophytic. They derive nutrition from other organisms. All organisms are categorized as heterotrophs since they depend on plants and other animals for food. Can we say that the insectivorous plants are partially heterotrophs? Yes, we can. So, we are over with the chapter now. There are certain keywords and what you have learned. Just this is a summary part of the chapter. Go through it. We will come back again with the next chapter. That is chapter number 2. So subscribe the channel if you have not subscribed till now, and kindly like the video because we are making this video just for you, just for helping you all, not for ourselves. Thank you and have a nice day and be safe. Be safe at your home and just stay away from coronavirus because it's a very harmful virus that just enter your body, and it's a kind of a communicable virus, right? So it can harm your family also. Don't go out of your home. Thank you and have a nice day. Thank you.